Welcome to the Sky Commander Flight Brief. It's your mission-ready podcast for drone pilot training and aerial insights across Canada.
From Transport Canada rules to real-world drone ops, we break it down, take you higher, and help you earn your wings. Because here at skycommander.ca, we don't just fly.
It hints there's more to it. It's a masterclass, a deeper level, maybe a philosophy or a community focus, perhaps.
It's definitely intriguing, sets them apart from just, a basic tips show. SkyCommander.ca is the obvious next step. Precisely. If you're thinking about flying a drone in Canada, boom, this content is aimed right at you.
Powered by SkyCommander.ca.
The elite podcast for Canada's drone pilot. Okay, let's get started.
Picture this. You're out flying your drone, maybe getting some amazing footage for a client. You're completely in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly, someone walks up, flashes an ID, Transport Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to see your pilot certificate, your drone registration, like right then and there.
Yeah, or maybe, and this happens, you get an email from TC asking for all your flight records from that cool flight you posted on Instagram, weeks ago.
This is from a social media post.
It's a real thing. Or think about your flight review. The reviewer sees something, maybe a small thing, flags it, and suddenly TC is taking a much closer look at your whole operation.
These aren't just like made-up horror stories then. These are actual possibilities for drone pilots in Canada.
They absolutely are. And figuring out this whole Transport Canada Oversight thing, RPAS Oversight, they call it, it can feel, super complex. Lots of rules, acronyms.
Right. CARS this, SFOC that.
Exactly. But getting your head around it isn't just about dodging fines. It's fundamental for operating safely, professionally, and honestly having a future in this industry here.
It really is the foundation.
Yeah, the whole point is that we all share the sky. So safety, accountability, traceability, those are the big things. TC needs a system so if something happens or even might happen, they can figure out what went down, who was involved, and crucially, stop it from happening again.
And for this deep dive, we've pulled together quite a bit of material, articles, studies, some real-world examples, expert takes. We're trying to look at scenarios you could actually face, dig up some surprising details about how it all works.
Yeah, like the social media monitoring bit.
Exactly. And get into the regs, but really pull out the practical stuff you need to, actually master compliance, not just, get by.
Our goal here is pretty simple. Cut through the noise, the jargon. Give you the must-know info, point out those things that might surprise you, and basically help you feel confident dealing with TC oversight, not scared of it.
Think of it as your shortcut to really being up to speed on this.
Yeah, a fast track.
Okay, let's dig in then. Where do we start? What's the absolute core reason TC is involved with drones?
Okay, so at its heart, TC's oversight is built on three main ideas: safety, accountability, and traceability. They're trying to manage risk before things go wrong. They're the federal authority, right? Under the Aeronautics Act and CARS Part 1 and IX specifically give them the power to make the rules and make sure people follow them.
So they're the rule makers and the enforcers. And oversight, that's the whole continuous process. Monitoring, inspecting, enforcing. Try to make things better.
That's it. Think of them like the referee in aviation, keeping things safe, making sure everyone plays by the book. And a really key idea here is delegated authority. This is huge.
Ah, right. Where TC lets others act for them.
Exactly. Like your flight reviewer, when you do your review, that person isn't just some skilled pilot checking your flying. They are officially performing a regulatory assessment for Transport Canada under TC's authority. It's a formal step.
It's definitely a system that's changed a lot, hasn't it? I mean, before 2019, it felt kind of like the Wild West. Everything needed a complex SFOC.
Oh yeah, the pre-2019 days were challenging. You needed an SFOC, a Special Flight Operations Certificate, for almost anything beyond basic recreational flying. Very manual, very complex.
But then CARS Part 9X came in 2019.
Right. That brought in the basic and advanced categories we know now, made registration and pilot certification mandatory, and really structured the whole oversight process. And then more recently, say 2021 to now, we've seen this big push towards digital tools.
Like NAV drone for getting airspace approvals.
Exactly. NAV drone is a big part of that digitization effort.
And looking at the sources, it's clear this isn't stopping. There's talk about real-time operational compliance, RPOC.
Yes, RTOC. That's the direction things are headed. New regulations coming down the pipe, like SOR 2025-70, are already pointing towards things like mandatory digital record keeping, especially for more complex ops. It suggests more automated compliance checks might be built into the system eventually. It's definitely not standing still.
So it's constantly evolving, which brings us to, okay, what does this oversight actually look like on the ground? How might you actually encounter it?
Right. It's not just paperwork in Ottawa. It happens out in the field. And it can be, broadly speaking, proactive or reactive.
Okay, let's start with proactive. This is TC checking things out routinely, not because someone complained.
Exactly. They might do scheduled audits. You could get a formal notice, maybe an email saying, we need these specific documents from you within, say, 30 days. It's a planned checkup.
Or the surprise visit.
Or the surprise visit, the surprise audit scenario we talked about. You're flying maybe near an airport or a busy area where inspectors might be, and someone from TC approaches you. If it's safe, you have to land immediately. And the key thing is you must be able to produce certain documents, your inspection bundle, right there on the spot.
Whoa, okay, immediately. What's in that bundle? What do you absolutely have to have ready to show them, like, instantly?
Okay, this is critical. Your immediate on-the-spot proof. It's your valid pilot certificate, probably advanced for most pro work, your drone's registration certificate, your recent flight logs, your planning documents for that specific mission site survey, flight plan.
Your NAV drone approval, too.
Yes, any airspace authorization you needed, so that NAV drone approval, either printed or on a device, and proof of liability insurance if your operation legally requires it. And the sources stress this. Just failing to produce any one of these when asked is a violation in itself.
That's a serious checklist to have handy. So how should you act if an inspector walks up?
Keep calm, be cooperative, be professional. Honestly, having a pre-organized folder, physical or digital, your grab-and-go audit pack is a lifesaver. It shows you're prepared, professional, and it just makes everything smoother.
Okay, that's proactive. Now, reactive oversight, that's different. It's triggered by something specific happening.
Right. This kicks in after an event or a report. It could be a complaint from the public. Someone saw your drone flying low, maybe. A report from another pilot, air traffic control reporting a near miss.
An accident you reported yourself.
Exactly, an accident or incident report you filed. Or, and this is the one that often surprises people, something TC saw online.
Okay, let's talk about that online part again. Because the sources really hammered this home. TC is actually monitoring social media, like drone hashtags and stuff.
They absolutely are. It's part of their situational awareness. We found documented cases where TC has initiated investigations based on YouTube videos showing potentially non-compliant flights. They've followed up based on Instagram posts. They might show up at your office or home. They can issue warnings or even fines retroactively for flights you posted about online.
So the message is, if you're going to post that awesome drone shot,
you better have the paperwork to back up that it was a legal, planned flight. If you post it, prove you planned it, is a good way to think about it. Your online presence is visible to regulators.
And if you do get that email or call from TC because of a report or something they saw,
respond promptly, be professional, stick to the facts. Provide only the specific records or evidence they ask for, logs, charts, approvals for that date and time. Don't speculate, don't make excuses, just give them the data. And be prepared for it to take some time. These investigations can take weeks or even months.
there was a really stark example in the sources, wasn't there? The forestry contractor.
Yes, that was a powerful case. Flew a drone over a wildfire base camp, which meant flying over people, obviously a high-risk area, didn't have the required SFOC, didn't notify anyone. Nothing bad happened physically, no crash, no injuries.
But someone saw it.
But a helicopter pilot reported seeing the drone operating unsafely. TC investigated based on that report. The result, a $2,500 fine for the company, and the pilot's advanced RPAS certificate was suspended. It perfectly illustrates that non-compliance can have serious consequences even without an accident.
Yeah, it really drives home that the rules matter, period.
They do. And then there's the third type of oversight interaction, assessment oversight, which is mainly your flight review.
And as you said, that's not just a skills check.
No, definitely not. Remember, the reviewer is acting under delegated authority.
They're acting for TC.
Exactly. So it's a formal regulatory assessment.
Yeah.
If that reviewer sees clearly unsafe behavior, a big gap in your knowledge of the rules, or obvious violations during the review, they have to report that back to Transport Canada.
And that could mess up your certification.
It absolutely could. It might lead to delays. TC might deny the certificate, or they could require you to go back and get more training before you can try again.
And this was fascinating. The sources mentioned that the flight reviewers themselves get audited, like TC checks up on them.
They do. It happens. TC auditors can actually show up and observe a flight reviewer while they're conducting a review. Plus, reviewers talk to each other, they're a community. They might informally share notes about common problems or tricky candidates. So treating your reviewer with respect, being professional, it's vital. They are, in that moment, representing the regulator.
It really feels like everything keeps coming back to one thing: documentation, records, having proof.
It's absolutely fundamental, non-negotiable. Your records are your paper shield, your proof you did things right.
So what are the must-haves again, just to be crystal clear?
Okay, essentials. Your flight logs, detailed ones. Maintenance logs for your drone. Site surveys you conducted before flying. Checklists you actually used pre-flight, post-flight. Records of who was on the crew, their roles, and copies of all your airspace authorizations. Save those NAV drone approval PDFs or print them, and your documented emergency procedures.
Got it. And the golden rule for how long you need to keep all this stuff, because people seem to get this wrong.
Minimum 12 months. It's right there in SAR's 901.48. Not 30 days, not 90, not 6 months. A full year.
1 year in the clear. Good mnemonic. Because if you get audited and you don't have records going back 12 months...
That's a direct violation. The missing logs scenario. It can lead to warnings, fines, maybe TC requiring you to do retraining on record keeping. It shows a lack of diligence.
And it's not just about avoiding trouble with TC, is it? These logs can actually help you legally.
Hugely important point. Your logs are admissible as legal evidence. We saw that 2022 case study where an operator was accused of causing property damage. But their detailed flight logs proved exactly where they flew, when, at what altitude, and that they followed all the rules and their plan. The logs cleared them.
So treat them like the drone's black box.
Absolutely. And looking ahead, this is only becoming more critical. That SOR 2025-70 regulation we mentioned, it's bringing in mandatory digital maintenance logs for certain advanced ops under an SFOC. It's a clear sign TC wants auditable, traceable digital records. We're likely heading towards things like audit trails, maybe cloud-based logs, integrated mission data uploads in the future.
It's all about being able to show compliance, not just say you were compliant. The records need to be legible, time-stamped.
Right. Your site survey needs to actually explain the risks you found and what you did about them. Just having documents isn't enough. They need to be good, organized documents. It signals professionalism to TC.
Okay, let's shift to some common traps. Where do pilots often mess up when it comes to oversight?
Operations over people is a big one. Always comes up.
And this isn't just flying near people, right? It's specifically flying directly over them.
Yeah.
Governed by CARS 901.41 to 901.43.
Exactly. Flying over people is a whole different category. It's highly restricted. You generally can't just do it with a standard advanced certificate. You usually need a drone that meets a specific RPAS safety assurance standard. The manufacturer has to declare it, or it needs equivalent proof.
And the drone itself has to be rated for it.
Yes. Specifically rated for ops over people. And on top of that, you often need extra permission from TC, usually a specific SFOC for that type of operation.
So that's scenario over people, but not on paper. Like trying to get a cool shot over a small crowd at a festival, or maybe you drift over pedestrians accidentally. That's a major problem if you don't have all those specific permissions and the right drone.
Huge problem. Flying near people happens all the time in cities, that's expected. But directly over is a much higher risk, requires that higher level of approval and equipment validation. Your risk assessment must address this. And remember, your VNC charts, which you need for advanced planning, might show things like temporary event boundaries or restrictions that might not pop up on every single app. You got to check multiple sources.
Good point. Which leads to airspace awareness generally. Just relying on NAV drone isn't the whole picture.
Definitely not, especially for advanced pilots. NAV drone is crucial for getting into controlled airspace, yes. But you still need to understand and use VNC charts. They show static things apps might miss or not display clearly. Class F advisory zones, national park boundaries, restricted airspace around prisons, military areas. You're responsible for knowing all the airspace rules for your flight area.
And it's not just TC watching the sky, is it? There's that oversight triangle idea.
Right. It's a three-way thing. Transport Canada sets the rules, Nav Canada manages the airspace, and you, the operator. Nav Canada controllers and flight service specialists see a lot. If they spot a drone doing something non-compliant, Even if you had TC approval but weren't following the conditions of it, they can and absolutely do report that directly to TC.
The sky has eyes. I like that.
It does. Another simple trap. Expired documents.
Seems obvious, but people get caught.
It happens more than you'd think. Operating with an expired certificate, or especially an expired SFOC, is a definite no-no. Strict liability. An SFOC can't be backdated. If your SFOC expired yesterday and you fly today thinking, I'll just get it renewed tomorrow, that's an illegal flight, period. No extensions. You have to reapply and get it approved before you fly.
Technical compliance, too, goes beyond just the drone flight rules.
Yeah, your drone, your controller, anything transmitting radio frequencies, it all falls under the Radio Communication Act, too. Your gear must not cause interference with aviation comms or navigation systems, that DIY drone and EM interference scenario. Even if it's accidental interference, you, the operator, are responsible.
What do you do if you suspect interference?
Land. Immediately and safely. Report it if it seems significant. And do not fly that equipment again until you've figured out the problem and fixed it.
Okay, here's a classic exam question, Prep. Dual roles. Pilot also being the visual observer?
Yes, the pilot in command PIC role. The rule is the PIC cannot also be the visual observer, VO, or the payload operator if doing so compromises safety or their ability to maintain continuous visual line of sight, VLOS, with the drone. It's a judgment call, but safety and VLOS come first. You can only combine roles if you can truly safely manage both simultaneously without losing sight or focus.
And what about flying drones from other countries here?
Sure.
Or pilots visiting?
Big one for international work. Having a pilot certificate or drone registration from, say, the US or Europe doesn't automatically let you fly legally in Canada. You need a Canadian RPAS pilot certificate, the drone needs to meet Canadian registration rules, and you have to follow all Canadian regulations, CERARS Part 9. Depending on the specifics, you might even need a Canadian SFOC.
And quickly, weather minimums are also regulated, right?
Yep. Basic VFR rules apply for visual flying. Need at least 3 statute miles visibility. Stay 500 feet below clouds and 2,000 feet horizontally away from them. Just remember the 3-5-2 rule.
Okay, let's bust a few common myths or misconceptions that can lead to trouble. First one, TC doesn't really bother with small drones, especially basic ops. True or false?
Definitely false. TC enforces the rules for all RPAS, basic and advanced. Now, advanced ops, because they often happen in risky environments like near airports or over people, naturally get more scrutiny, more inspections, but basic ops are absolutely regulated too.
Myth 2. I've been flying for years, never had a crash, I must be compliant.
Also false. A clean safety record is great, but it's not proof of compliance. Compliance means following the rules, having the right paperwork, doing the planning, having the authorizations. Your documented procedures are what matter to TC, incident or not.
Myth 3. TC will always give me a warning first before hitting me with a fine or suspension.
Risky assumption. While they might issue warnings for minor first-time offenses, for more serious violations, things that show negligence, recklessness, or put people at significant risk, they can go straight to enforcement. Fines, certificate suspension, right off the bat.
Myth 4. My buddy's a really experienced pilot. He can do my flight review.
Nope. Only an officially delegated flight reviewer authorized by Transport Canada can conduct that formal regulatory flight review. Experience alone doesn't grant that authority.
Myth 5. My flight planning software predicts the path. That counts as my risk assessment.
Not quite. Flight planning software is a tool. It helps. But it's not a replacement for your documented site survey and risk assessment.
Nah.
You need to analyze the specific risks of your operation at that location and time and document how you will mitigate them. The software output might be part of your documentation, but it's not the whole thing.
And last one. Using tools to automate compliance is fine, even if it's fudging the details a bit.
Absolutely not. Automation should help you do compliance correctly and document it accurately. It should not be used to fake compliance. That example of the fake risk assessment generator. Using something like that is deliberate falsification. When TC finds that, the consequences are severe, big fines, loss of certificate, basically career ending. Honesty and genuine effort are key.
Okay, so if someone does get caught being non-compliant, what happens next? It moves to formal enforcement.
Yes, that's the formal legal process TC uses when they've confirmed a violation of the regulations.
And what forms can that take?
It's a spectrum. Could be a simple warning letter, especially for a minor first offense, basically saying don't do this again. Or it could be an administrative monetary penalty, an AMP, which is essentially a fine.
Like that $2,500 fine for the forestry contract.
Exactly. Then it can get more serious. suspension of your pilot certificate for a period of time, or even outright cancellation of your certificate. And for the most contested or serious cases, it might end up before the Transportation Appeal Tribunal of Canada, the TATC, which is like a specialized court for transport issues.
And those fines, the AMPs, can be pretty substantial.
They can be. The regulations allow for up to $5,000 for an individual and up to $25,000 for a corporation. And here's the kicker. That's per offense. Multiple violations on one flight could mean multiple penalties, and losing your certificate, even temporarily, can obviously shut down your ability to work. Permanent cancellation is a huge deal.
The sources link specific actions to consequences, like flying BVLOS without an SFOC.
Likely looking at a hefty fine, maybe thousands, and definitely a certificate suspension.
Missing logs found in an audit.
Might start with a warning, especially first time, but could easily lead to TC mandating specific retraining on record keeping.
Flying over people without the right drone and authorization.
That's serious.
Okay.
High chance of immediate certificate suspension.
Making a false statement to TC, maybe lying during an investigation.
That's often seen as undermining the whole system. Could lead straight to certificate cancellation and potentially being flagged in the system for future applications. Very serious. Posting illegal flights online can definitely lead to retroactive investigation and fines based on the evidence you provided yourself.
And just to hammer it home one more time, TC can suspend or cancel your certificate even if you didn't have an accident, right?
Absolutely critical point, yes. They enforce the process and the rules. Flying with an expired SFOC, consistently failing to do proper site surveys and document them, falsifying maintenance records, these procedural failures can absolutely lead to certificate action proactively before anything bad happens. Compliance itself is the standard.
So if you do get that notice of enforcement, what's the best way to handle it?
First off, take it extremely seriously. Respond to TC communications promptly and professionally. Don't ignore it. It's usually a good idea to get some advice at this point, maybe from a lawyer or a consultant who specializes in aviation regulations.
And you have options.
You do. You can sometimes negotiate. If you admit the violation, show you understand what went wrong, and propose concrete steps to fix it and prevent it from happening again, like retraining, changing procedures, TC might agree to a reduced penalty. Or if you genuinely believe you didn't violate the rules, you can formally challenge the enforcement action, potentially taking it to the TTC.
Okay, so we've covered the rules, the oversight actions, the consequences. How do we move from just knowing this stuff to really mastering compliance, operating confidently?
It's about shifting your mindset, really, moving beyond just cramming for the exam to operating day in, day out like a true professional, always ready for scrutiny.
You mentioned thinking like Transport Canada. What does that actually involve day to day?
It means making safety, accountability, and traceability part of your operational DNA. For every flight, think, how am I ensuring safety? How can I prove I did? Who's responsible for what? When TC looks at your stuff, they want to see your thought process, the justification for your decisions, backed by evidence.
So showing your work, basically.
Exactly, and the sources are clear. TSC treats willful ignorance or cutting corners much harsher than an honest mistake, where you can show you tried your best, you had procedures, you exercised due diligence. Documenting that due diligence is key.
And this extends to your team if you manage people.
Oh, absolutely. Understand that chain of oversight responsibility. If you're the certificate holder or the person in charge, TC holds you accountable for ensuring your team is compliant. Are your visual observers properly trained and briefed? Is someone logging maintenance correctly? Are you doing documented safety briefings? Your responsibility flows down.
It really does sound like it all boils down to being able to prove you're compliant through documentation.
That's the core of it. Your logs, surveys, checklists need to be clear, accurate, organized. TC wants to see evidence of a robust safety management approach, not just box ticking. Professionalism in your paperwork signals professionalism in your operation.
And every interaction you have with TC kind of builds your history with them, your reputation file.
That's a good way to put it. Every audit, review, complaint response, enforcement action, it all goes on your record. A pattern of issues, even small ones, raises red flags. Consistently showing you're buttoned down, professional, and compliant builds trust over time. Operators with a good reputation might find interactions go smoother.
And the future seems very digital.
It really does. TC is actively looking at things like digital pilot certificates with embedded history or compliance scores, QR codes you can scan on site, remote access to digital logs, more automated checks may be linked through NAV drone. RTOC real-time operational compliance is the goal. That SOR 2025-70 with digital maintenance logs is just the start.
So getting your digital house in order now is crucial for the future.
Yeah, definitely. Mastering compliance today means building systems, habits, record-keeping practices that can handle digital requirements seamlessly when they arrive. Don't wait until it's mandatory.
Maybe a good self-check is, could you confidently audit someone else's operation? Could you look at their records and tell if they were compliant?
That's an excellent benchmark. If you understand the rules well enough to explain them, audit against them, and defend your own choices with solid documentation, you're probably in a very good place.
And don't discount the human element, right? Being professional with inspectors.
Absolutely. Be respectful, be cooperative. Keep copies of important communications with TC or NAV Canada approvals, clarifications, emails. Train your team, even briefly, on what to do if an inspector shows up, where the documents are, who speaks for the company, how to behave.
Because saying, I don't know, or my boss handles that, doesn't look good during an inspection.
Not at all. Being able to calmly say, yes, I have that procedure documented right here. Would you like to see the log for that flight? That shows competence. It builds confidence.
Okay, so to really master compliance, it's about knowing the why behind the rules. Having solid documented procedures for everything, understanding how TC works, proactive checks, reactive investigations, assessments, keeping up with changes like SOR 2025-70, being diligent with real-time records, being able to pass your own audit anytime, knowing the potential consequences, and being able to explain it all.
It's the whole package, operating like a regulated professional.
All right, let's try and wrap this deep dive up. The big picture is, Transport Canada's RPAS oversight isn't just about catching people breaking rules. It's really the framework that supports a safe, professional, and increasingly digital drone industry in Canada.
And being prepared, especially with your documentation, is honestly your best defense and your strongest asset. Always, always have that inspection bundle ready to go. Keep your logs and all required records for that full 12 months. Remember that flight reviewers and inspectors are acting with TC's authority. And really internalize that compliance isn't optional. It's expected and it's enforced, accident or no accident.
So, given where TC is clearly heading more digital tracking, real-time operational compliance on the horizon, here's the final thought to leave you with. What concrete steps are you going to take, starting today, to make sure your drone operations aren't just safe in the air, but totally audit-ready on paper or digitally? Seriously, how would you fare if an inspector showed up right now? Because this understanding, this preparedness, it's not just for an exam anymore. It's absolutely crucial for your reputation, your business, and your entire future operating drones in Canada.
That's a wrap on today's mission, Commander. See above, go beyond, get ahead. For more training, tools, and intel, head to skycommander.ca. If you learned something new, share it, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star debrief.